Today we're going to be talking about the camera gear, and more specifically the camera and the lens setup that I use to shoot interior real estate, and how I a lot of times shoot using only one image, and I'm going to show you that now. So the camera that I use, and you're not going to have this as one of your most popular cameras or recommendations on YouTube for real estate interior photography, but I'm going to explain to you why I love this camera and why I think it is probably the best choice for real estate photography, and why I have used full frame cameras, crop sensor cameras, and I finally come down to micro four thirds, and more specifically the Olympus EM1 Mark II. Micro four thirds cameras I have found to be so beneficial for interior real estate photography. It's because everything is a 2x crop if you're comparing it to full frame cameras. Okay, so in other words, I'm on a 9 to 18 millimeter, which in full frame equivalency would be an 18 to 36. So the other benefit is that you have the same light gathering, but twice the depth of field. Okay, so for example, I can shoot this camera at 9, so it's a variable aperture, at 9 millimeters or 18 if you're talking full frame. We are at f4, but it performs as far as depth of field like an f8 in a full frame. And typically you're shooting at f8. If you're at 18 millimeters, everything's going to be in focus, but you're at f8. Whereas here you're at f4, so you have the same light gathering capabilities as your full frame that would be at f4, but it's acting as an f8 on a full frame. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense for people. The other benefit to these cameras is the price. If you've ever priced like the new Canon R6 or R3, any of the full frame cameras, you know their lenses are well over $1,000. And I'm just on eBay right now. This 9 to 18 lens, and I'm going to show you examples of images that I've taken for 300 bucks. It's just about brand new. That one's actually used. Here's one for $215. And the camera body itself, because now they're up to the new EM1 they just released. So now you can get the EM1 Mark III for under $1,000. You can pick up an EM1 Mark II, which is going to be, for photography, for real estate photography, do not bother getting the EM1 Mark III. I would suggest going with the EM1 Mark II. 560 bucks. So, like I said, if you've priced full frame cameras before, you know that you can't find a full frame camera for under $800. I don't know, you probably could, but you know my point. This camera's a tank. You get 300 to 400 clicks on a battery. The battery lasts a really nice long time. It's got the flip out screen, which I really like this, because on a tripod you can just angle this, or if you're in a door jam or something and you're in a tight space, you can flip this around here and you can look at the screen this way. Let's go into my computer now, and we're going to take a look at some of the images shooting natural light, lights off. That way you're not battling color casts, and you're going to be able to see the results that I got with this setup with one image. Alright, so here we are in Lightroom. Here's the image that I took. Notice over here on my histogram, I didn't quite clip those highlights, so we can bring those back. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to probably just bump up this exposure just a little bit. And I'm just looking at the room brightness right now. I like the way that looks. And here's a little tip for you. The majority of your exposure should be just right of center. That's where I like to put it, for the most part. Okay, there's an exception to every single rule, but for most real estate photos, to keep the general image decently exposed so the overall image isn't too dark, rule of thumb, the majority of your exposure should be just right of center, so keep that in mind. Okay, now I'm going to bring these highlights all the way down. Look at that. Not bad for micro four thirds. A lot of people are going to bash micro four thirds, saying you don't have enough dynamic range. But if you shoot correctly, you don't have to worry about that. And we can maybe bring these shadows up just a little bit if we want. I always like dropping the blacks, maybe not too much in this particular image. Clarity, just a little bit. It's just going to crisp it up a little bit. And I'm going to come down here and I actually typically do not like sharpening up that much. These cameras and lenses are on Micro Four Thirds are already super duper sharp. You'll know that if you start shooting video with them, that we need to tone that sharpness down. And then what we can do is we can come down here and click our verticals, see what that does. That straightened it out pretty good. I like that. I always like to take my crop tool here, click on it, and look at that. Look at the windows, look at the walls, that back wall. Everything looks pretty straight to me. I like that. All right, let's go on to another example. Here's one. Just going to reset it for you. And really all you need to do is make sure your exposure is set correctly. Drop those highlights down, get a little bit of window pull in there, nothing too crazy. I'm not a big fan of a really super duper clean window pull. It just looks unnatural. That's my personal preference, and that's my personal taste over the years. I used to love the really clean, crisp window pulls, not so much anymore. Let's hit that vertical. Didn't change much, that's good news. So yeah, there's another natural light shot. Got plenty of natural light coming in. There's a big arch over here. That's probably why you're seeing all this light over here. But look at the detail. Look at how clean. Look at how clean that is from corner to corner. Okay, one more. Here's one. Let's reset this. Well, let's drop those highlights. You can get those living room windows back. I mean, look at the difference. Blown out. Bring those highlights back. Down. Bump up the shadows just a little bit. Maybe, you know, add some blacks back in. Bump that clarity a little bit. Let's go down here, check our verticals, and that's it. I would deliver this. Maybe bump that exposure up just a little bit more. But I appreciate you guys watching. Leave me a comment. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you do not miss these other videos that I'm going to be releasing. But leave me a comment. What are you struggling with? Are you struggling to get new clients? Is it a really, you know, is your area polluted with other real estate photographers? Do you need to maybe venture on out somewhere or try something different? What are they doing? Can you do something better than they are doing? So I appreciate you guys watching. That's it for this video. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye-bye now.